Welcome back to the HamPster channel, here with a first impressions. The first impressions, mind you. Don't know what I'm going to do with this joke. So Elden Ring is finally out, and to critical acclaim, I mean, we've seen two games, essentially, in the past, decade that have been groundbreaking video games. Memorable video games that go down as some of the best games ever made. We're talking Skyrim first, Breath of the Wild, Zelda second, and now Elden Ring. Thankfully, a huge Fromsoft fan myself, I could not be happier that this game is getting the acclaim it's getting. If you've never played a game like this before, a Fromsoft game, they're very challenging games, and they're usually dungeon crawl adventures. Now, with light RPG mechanics, what do you say about them? Everyone knows. It's its own genre. It's a Souls-like game. However, this elevates the genre to a whole new realm. Completely new. Just completely, out of the stratosphere. It is phenomenally done. And it really does feel like an amalgamation of every single game they've made up until this point. It has the hit detection of Bloodborne, the style, tone, and menus and HUD of Demon Souls, the fundamental design and mechanics of Dark Souls, the advanced skills and tech-like movement in Sekiro. You've got it all here. It's phenomenal, and it's so polished. The game is just woo. Now, I'm going to be talking about this with zero spoilers. No spoilers, and all the footage I'm going to be showing is I'm going to try to keep it to the absolute first location in the game, and I won't be showing any bosses, no mini bosses. I'm just going to be showing the standard open world stuff in the first area of the game. To get back on topic, this game is great. As a Souls fan, I've been playing Dark Souls for a long time, and it's one of my favorite my favorite IPs ever. They're phenomenal games, excellent titles, and what this game does is it elevates that to a whole new level in a way that's very refined. It feels like Dark Souls, but it feels fresh at the same time. When I was first playing the game, it didn't click that it was an open world game because it's so Souls that I just kind of expected it to be another dungeon crawl where it's a very linear path. To have the Souls mechanic expanded across an open world was intimidating, and due to the classic games being dungeon crawl experiences, I wasn't sure how it was going to work because a push your luck mechanic, such as collecting souls and trying to get as many souls as you can before you go back to go get more healing items and stuff, I wasn't sure how that was going to translate to open world. But I know that FromSoft does not do shoddy work. They're not going to, oh, open world's popular, put it in. So I was very curious what kind of mechanics they're going to use to put it in the game and make it function as an open world title. And sure enough, there are so many small things that just, they've done all these little refinements to just make it translate so eloquently to an open world design. It feels like this is the game that, this is what we've been waiting for. It's just so well done. The world is just, atmosphere is a whole other world. It's unreal. It takes the fantasy trope and just everything is familiar, but they tweak everything just enough to make the familiar unfamiliar, and everything feels fresh and new. And the lands between, it's gorgeous. The skyline, the ruins in the distance. I would even claim that the visual storytelling has been stepped up a notch with Elden Ring over the Dark Souls games. Bloodborne did a very good job of telling stories, not through the lore, but through just the depiction of the world and what was in areas like, oh, this clearly happened here, this house was sieged, and stuff like that. This game does it even better. There was one mini-boss I fought in a cave, and it just told an entire story. The world, full of mystery, full of danger, full of hidden things to find. There's stuff all over the place. Having the ability to now forage and craft things is something I didn't know I wanted. It was personally something I wasn't against it, but my brain was not looking forward to crafting and foraging in Dark Souls. I just didn't know how that would translate. But it feels so completely natural. The way they've implemented it just works so well. These are like just S tier devs. As far as sound goes, there's world music now. Like in Sekiro, now there's just a droning hum or a few chords that play out through your adventure in the open world through your exploration time, and it's really welcome. I am a little Dark Soulsy on it, and I'm a little like, I kind of wish it was like no music, or the music that is there. I love it. I almost wish it was a little less just so I could take in the atmosphere, because the sound design of the world is phenomenal. It's extremely immersive. I've tried it through television, speakers, and through my surround sound 5.1, and it's mixed beautifully. The channel diversity is so good. Everything sounds so well. With their previous games, a lot of their sound design, while it was like top tier for sure, it was very muddy in terms of the final mix and like high-end audio. Piercing, clashing swords, and armor clanging would definitely get very muddy and it'd be kind of like a fart soup, and everything would just kind of like blend together and sound not good anymore. This game does such a fantastic job of separating all of the audio, keeping it all sectioned to its own area, and it's so much better. The audio in Elden Ring is the best audio mixing they have had for sure. As far as music goes, I haven't fought that many bosses yet, so I can't really comment on the score of the game. The open world track is wonderful. The combat music is really exciting, and the bosses that I have fought the music is definitely exhilarating. It's just such a different pace from like the Dark Souls music, because it was much more of an operatic classical style of music, and now it's much more of fantasy music, like TM fantasy music, and it works really well. I just can't really comment on it because I haven't heard enough to have an opinion on it yet. Lastly, I just want to talk about some gameplay stuff. The combat is so extremely fine-tuned. Like, the combat in Dark Souls 3 was exquisite. It was so good. It was so fast. It was just the Dark Souls 1 formula refined and done in a better way. Elden Ring takes clearly everything they've learned across their just decades of game design and have created just something fantastic. The best like third-person combat I've done in years, like since Bloodborne, since Sekiro, and just they constantly set the bar. And the fact it's in an open world game, this is like action game top tier combat delivered and executed efficiently in an open world title. I don't see this very often. The world is just so balanced, and the way the enemies are utilized in the open world is so smart, and the way it's done in favor of the player rather than just, oh, here's a mob for the sake of throwing a mob in a forest. It's more, here's a mob because at this juncture, the player is most likely expended a few of their Estus flasks, or they have a new name now, I can't remember what it is, your sacred flask, and they may need replenishment. And if they kill these, they'll get a few of those back. It's just, everything is in the favor of the player, and it's so much better. Everything has gone in favor of the player. I remember everyone panicking when Miyazaki said they were working on the stress of the game and attempting to make it less of a stressful experience. That has nothing to do with difficulty. This game is very difficult. Part of it's a learning curve, but part of it is just that their AI and their enemy design is so just absolutely phenomenal that it's difficult to learn. Like back in the day in NES video games, it was learn the pattern of the boss, and it was a very clear like, okay, here's the cycle, here's where I should do the attack. The animations are done so well in this that it's very, very difficult to find the exact point to fight or to hit something. And it's just because their animations are so fluid and the combat is so slick. Oh man, I just want to play more. I'm literally just gonna boot up Elden Ring and play more the second I'm done like working on this video. The combat is so expanded too. It has stance breaking and guard countering. They've added these just a few more options for the player, like in the player's tool belt, options that they can use in combat. There's also buffs you can equip, there's spirits you can summon. There are so many things, and it's not for the sake of making the game easier. It's for the sake of giving the player agency and more control over their class and what they've created in terms of their character. So you'll get a thing that'll like equip fire damage to a weapon, and then you can buff that by giving it a, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but then you can use that, put it into a special skill that you can equip to a weapon, and then you can get this like, oh man, it's so cool. It's so like, I feel the build diversity is going to skyrocket. Like, for the most part, you're still going to be having a dex build, a faith build, or like a strength build. But now there's going to be so much more personalization within your build to make it more unique and more yours, and to fit you as a player and your game style so much more. It's so much more. Oh man. It's a fantastic game. Menus are the most organized they've ever been. Lore is the cleanest it's ever been delivered. Controls feel incredibly natural. The hit detection is like prime. It's so good. The hit detection is like, the enemies can now miss me instead. Like, I played a lot of Dark Souls 2, and discovering things in the world is extremely rewarding. Player expression feels the highest the series has ever seen, giving the player control over many systems that allow them to create a truly personal class with weapons and skills to match. It's phenomenal. Elden Ring has been getting perfect scores across the board, and absolutely, this game is monumental. It is very exciting that this game is as good as it is. Being a fan of From Software and their previous titles, I'm on cloud nine. This is so much fun. Everyone is like, yes, we love this thing too, is so rewarding. It's so much fun to play this game while it's fresh and everything. There's still mystery, and everyone's kind of like, oh, this is so cool. It's so brand new and it's so well made. It's just great to share this with the rest of the community. All my friends are addicted to it, hopelessly addicted to it. I'm addicted to it. In terms of video games, this is absolutely a cut above the rest. This is a diamond in the rough, and it's just one of the best games of the decade. And there are people saying that this is one of the best games ever made, and that is a bit of an early estimate, but with how good it is and the promise that it has for long-term play, this probably is one of the best video games ever made. We have Skyrim, we have Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now we're gonna throw Elden Ring in the books. Thanks for watching. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of the game if you're playing it yourself, and enjoy exploring the lands between. I'm gonna get back to it.